This is the KOHO 101 Community Connection Podcast. Check back often for a continuing look at business in the greater Wenatchee area.
It's the KOHO Morning Show. Nice of you to be along with us for this edition of the program, and great to see the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce with us in studio once again for another edition of our Community Connections podcast series with the Chamber. That, of course, brings to our studios their Shiloh Burgess, Executive Director, and today joined by the North Central Educational Service District, Sue Kane and Tami McBride. Sue is the Director of STEM Initiatives and Strategic Partnerships with NCESD, and Tami is the Career Connected Learning Specialist there. And ladies, we're going to have a good chat today about career development in the Wenatchee Valley through the NCESD. Of course, Shiloh, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having us. We have some awesome partners with us today.
Yeah, for sure. So Shiloh, as usual, just steer the hot potato to you to start here. This folds into our Chamber series because obviously kids in school, we like to, get them thinking about what they might do once they get out and grow up. So
they are our
this,
future
of course,
workforce. So we are very excited to have Sue and Tami with us because the work that they do with students in our region is very important. Our story with them began several years ago when we kind of were poking around and seeing what some other chambers were doing, and we found a program, Careers After School is what we call it, but it was business after school in the Spokane Valley area. And it was similar to business after hours, but really trying to show students what educational opportunities lead to careers in our communities. And so that's kind of where it birthed out of, but would just love to hear a little bit more before we jump into some of those dialogues. Like, how do you ladies spend your day? I mean, we use these great initiatives like STEM and career connected learning, but like at the end of the day, what does it mean, right? What's the essence of what you guys do?
For me personally, I think it's just connecting students with businesses and making that aha moment for them on what they might have not thought about as far as like, this can be something that I can do later in life. And that's the ultimate goal, is like connecting them with what they can do in their career path and what they can take. So that it is for me. I don't know, Sue?
That's a really good thing. I think that, to my delight, my job is not the same. No, there has never been two identical days or years. And the work that we work on, it moves along with some of the, really neat opportunities, and it brings with it brand new partners. And so every day is a little bit of an adventure. But as Tami was saying, it's all about creating opportunities for the youth that are in our region.
Yeah.
How early does this process begin strategically within the district? I mean, at what age do we really start to kind of funnel our thoughts, or at least combine our thoughts into not only just basic learning and having fun in school, and also, getting that career sort of entanglement in there as well?
That's such a good question, because we used to start talking about what are you going to do next after high school, and that we find that it's way too late. Students are already building their identity about what they want to be and what they don't want to be, what maybe is not for me, by age 10. So we need to see some career exploration happening really early on. Elementary is a great time to start exploring, not maybe the nitty gritty of what technical skills you need, but what kinds of things inspire you, what kinds of things, do you love doing, or what kinds of things do you put up with doing, and helping them kind of align those to potential roles really early on is very important.
That is so true. I can remember ruling out pipe welder and tax attorney easily by age 9, I think, even before that. So it's got to be so true. What about strategies to get the kids engaged and excited? I mean, we were talking beforehand about a program that we're actually going to do through KOHO here, as well, as far as an after-school program to get kids kind of a job shadowing situation when they get a little bit older into high school. But in addition to that, which I'd love to hear more information about as well for our listeners, what else do you do to try to kind of instill this career thought within them?
Well, it's kind of giving them the awareness in the elementary school age, and that's just giving them some ideas. The career and technical educational piece of that starts around 7th grade. So giving them that awareness before they get to that middle school aged is where then they can kind of start creating like, okay, what kind of classes do I want to take? And in the middle school area, it's like the exploration. So you see a lot of career fairs, expo. We hold the NCW College and Career Expo every year. And that's where, they can kind of get an idea of what kind of businesses are out there, what, just the world as far as different jobs and opportunities. And then it's like the beyond is like in the high school, the preparation. So it's, apprenticeships and, the high school and beyond plan, and, giving them what it looks like after high school. And it's not just, maybe it's not a college, maybe it's, like a technical school or, different pathway that they can take. So I don't know, just doing a lot of different, we have a lot of exploration that we do. It's not just, careers after school. It's, the expo. It's also doing, hour of code events and coding with students and finding different ways that we can create and connect with them and making those connections. So.
Two things that come to me is exposure, right? Like one of the things that I love and what led the Chamber to really look at making a very small aspect of what you all are doing, which is this careers after school, is it's giving businesses exposure to a future workforce, and kids exposure to a future job opportunity or future career, right? And it changes. It's not just what college am I going to go to, but it's what do I need to be successful and happy. We're whole people, right? So there's certain things that we're naturally gifted for, like Chris over here. One, he can talk, which is amazing, right? Like he just talks so good, but he does all these amazing facts. He's a ferocious learner, right? And then he can relate to a variety of different people. And then how do you translate that into a skill, right? And so, I will never forget, different times I had different exposures to things, whether it was a field trip or whether it was, a job, not an interview, but a job shadow kind of thing, just to get myself exposed to something that's like, well, my parents don't do this, or my grandparents don't do this, or my friends' parents don't do this, so I don't know what that looks like, right? So I think that's a big part. And then experiential learning is, if I had a day like this every day, what would that day actually look like? Right? Like, would I want to wake up and stand in front of a classroom? You hear the horror stories of teachers that think they want to be a teacher and they start their student teaching and they go, never mind, I don't want to do that, right? So, and it's all because they didn't have enough exposure or experience before they got to that place. So that's what I love about these programs, is it gets kids thinking about, what am I passionate about, right, early on? What am I naturally gifted towards early on? And then how does that maybe naturally compel me into a certain job set or an industry, right? Like, I've known for a long time, I just like to be a little helper.
Yeah.
Right? I love to help people. Right? I thought initially I wanted to deliver babies.
It says that on your card, doesn't it?
Probably.
Chamber of Commerce, little helper.
I can't stand the sight of blood, so I'm not going to deliver any babies. Like, that's not going to happen, right? But you just kind of explore those things. So let's talk a little bit about that for them, like some of your favorite programming, right? So you talk a little bit about the Careers Expo, but apprenticeships has not always been easy to do, but it's an important, we just had the PUD on talking about apprenticeships. So what does that look like from a student's perspective? Like, what would they be doing in an apprenticeship program?
I think the difference in some of these things is you talk a little bit about exposure and awareness of the occupation, but the people are just as important. And for career-connected learning, a goal should always be to increase the student's social capital and the value of those relationships that they have with their community and the professionals in that community. And when we look at an apprenticeship, the reason that that's as valuable as it is you're getting real-world experience, but it's really underneath that time with a mentor who's invested in your development and kind of looking at the way that you might need encouragement in some places and extra practice in other places, and you're both working together towards a development goal. And that by itself is so valuable. And we can see, smaller moments of that happen even in younger students. We always want to try to make connections to the people that are in those roles and help a student to really see that that those relationships and those connections have just as much value as your ability to do something, because we're always going to learn how to do things differently. But there are people that came alongside me early in my career that are still right behind me that I go back to frequently, and we need to be able to arm youth with those type of relationships. So that's really the undercurrent between any of these programs.
Love it. How about partnerships? You said that word earlier on, right? So these programs, that's one of the things why we love, working with you is there's a partnership here, right? But you're looking for partners, right? So how can the business community in particular come around the work that you're doing and assist these students? What's the role for those employers or those professionals in the different things that you guys are working on?
There's no one right size way to partner in this space. So depending on the capacity, you might be a small business who is here, day in, day out, split shifts, whatever it is to make your business run. You might be feeling like there's no way that I can valuably contribute to this. But really your experience and your ability to just invite students in a very short period of time with support can actually be incredibly valuable for somebody who thinks they want to be an entrepreneur someday and own their own business. And so our goal is to provide that supportive structure so that you can plug in with very little resources and make a really valuable, meaningful impact. And for some of our employers, they have incredible resources of people who love to teach and train and have somebody listen and pay attention. And so what's amazing to me is hearing from some of the apprentice mentors who really were opposed to having a young person in their training, who at the end of that can't wait to have their next apprentice, because it turns out we like talking about why we do what we do. Sometimes it's actually a really rewarding feeling to be like, I didn't realize I did all that stuff till I had to tell someone else how to do it. So I think wherever you are on that continuum, there's a really valuable way for you to be able to lean in and help young people develop that connection to our community.
Yeah, there's also different ways that they can reach out too. I mean, like, there's not just careers after school or an expo that we're doing. We're constantly looking for different businesses and organizations to partner with. So even just like today, making that connection and hearing out what KOHO want to offer and the need that they have. It's not just there; it's a bunch of different ways. So I guess my side would be like, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's an important factor. One of the things is, how do individuals get connected with the both of you, and or how do students or their champion adult, be that a parent, be it a teacher, someone who's like, oh my gosh, this kid really would benefit from this opportunity. How do people learn more? How do people connect with you guys?
Well, my first thought would be, for some of our small businesses, actually connect with your chamber and talk about that. You need,
yes, please.
Yeah, you need some more opportunities for career-connected learning, because organizations like a Chamber of Commerce are meant to kind of listen to those voices and what is it that we need. And this relationship is as strong as it is because we've been really responsive. When businesses lean in and say, we need visibility, we need workforce, we've really been interested and leaned in and looking for solutions to that opportunity. But you can directly reach out to Tami or myself at any time, and we'd be happy to kind of brainstorm with you or answer questions. But there's lots of different ways to get engaged.
Also, social media, we're constantly posting on our Facebook pages, and then also like on the ESDU's website and stuff like that. So there's plenty of ways that you can find. Reach out if you don't know where those resources are. So.
Very good. Tami McBride with us today, Career Connected Learning Specialist, along with Sue Kane, Director of STEM Initiatives and Strategic Partnerships with the NCESD, the North Central Educational Service District. This is part of our Community Connections podcast series with the Wenatchee Valley Chamber of Commerce, along with Shiloh Burgess from the Chamber, their Executive Director. Ladies, I appreciate the time very much. Thanks for sharing. We're anxious to get some of the kids in here actually to do that job shadow program, the after-school program here as soon as possible. Not that we're putting out a call for employment at the moment, but I was just talking to Tami and Sue, I think, before we jumped on air here, actually, that we don't have many kids that are interested in specifically the radio medium. I mean, communications is interesting to them, but a lot of times it has to do with the visual arts these days. They're into computers or into things where they could, do things with, telling visual stories and whatnot. So in the radio area, we could definitely use that. So we're looking forward to kind of getting some kids in here and seasoning them, I guess, a little bit to the radio business. Maybe we can find a couple of youngsters in our own community that'll be here on KOHO in the future. You never know. So, Shiloh, I look forward to our next rendezvous for our next Chamber Series.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks again.
Thanks for joining us for the KOHO 101 Community Connection Podcast, a look at business in the greater Wenatchee area.